I literally just posted my first video like a few hours ago. I'm not going to be able to sleep today, so we're just gonna blow this right out the way. Start this intro into what's been going on with my life. We'll just fuck it. We'll just go all out. Okay, so what's going on is that recently, maybe a couple months ago, I want to say maybe 2.5, 3 months ago. It doesn't even seem like that long ago. But I got kicked out of my house, and what happened is, okay, here's the situation, right? I go to this job interview for this place that supposedly sells life insurance, and it seemed pretty legit to me, you know. A lot of that shit is a scam, which I understand, because sometimes it is, right? So like I'm like, you know, I'll go see what they talk about, because my lady, her family has a history of selling life insurance, and they fucking profited off of that shit, you know. So I'm like, all right, you know, I could definitely make some money. You know, entrepreneurship is definitely more up my alley anyway. So I go in there, and I talk to those people, and everyone in there is just so nice and so energetic and kind and all of that. I get out of the interview. I'm waiting on my parents to come get me, because my car at the time, I didn't want to drive it because it had some stuff going on with it. And that's actually another story too. I get out, and they're like, how'd it go? And I'm like, it was good. And they're like, well, tell us about it. So I'm telling them about it, and they're like, yeah. They cut me off like while I'm telling them about it, and they're like, it's a scam. This is a pyramid scheme. That's exactly what a pyramid scheme is. You know, you need to listen to us when we try to tell you that, you know, we're doing the right thing for you, and fucking that supposedly I'm just too blind to see that it was a pyramid scam, right? So I'm telling them, like, okay, that's fine. They said you guys could come in a couple days, check it out for yourselves, because they get that, you know. It happens. It's one of those things where people do run into scams often. Not all of them are scams, but it does happen often. I understand that. So they told me to tell them, like, hey, you guys come in over the weekend, you know, and we'll just explain everything that we explained to him, make everything, you know, easier on you. So I tell them that, and they're just like, no, they're not trying to hear any of it. And I'm like, all right, man, okay. So at this point, I'm annoyed, because it's like they're acting like I'm not trying to get a job. Okay, I had just recently been laid off from my job working for a Superior Ambulance out here in Highland, and they just felt like I just wasn't trying. Like I just didn't care about my future, right? That I was just taking in everything that was given to me and just saying fuck it, full sending fuck it, you know. And that really got to me, because the thing is, I have a long history with my parents of them just not listening to what I'm telling them, you know. I feel like I'm not the only one that kind of understands what I'm talking about here, because it's like you tell them one thing, they take something else and they roll with that, and it's like, damn, all right, it kind of stings me here a little bit, but you know, whatever, I'm used to it by now. But this time was different. So we're talking amongst ourselves in the car. They're yelling at me, telling me that I don't know shit, and that I'm just young and naive, and that they're gonna find a good job, or that I need to get a good job, and that they can't do everything themselves. And it's like, okay, now I'm confused, because you're telling me that I'm basically one, irresponsible, which to a certain degree I have been irresponsible in the past. Who the fuck hasn't? That I am ungrateful, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I've never once raised my voice. I've never once intentionally disrespected. I don't talk back. I don't do shit like that. I was raised differently. That's not how I was raised. I don't do shit like that. So like, I appreciate everything that's given to me. I always have, and I don't get why they like felt like I just didn't. No matter how much I explained to them how grateful I was, it just never seemed to get through them for whatever reason. So that got deeper into a conversation of, I had already, prior to this conversation, to this job interview, I had been given like what does he say, a 30 days notice. He said I had 30 days to find a job paying 15 or more, or I had to get out, right? this was probably like 10 days from that mark, that 30-day mark, and this was my third interview. So we're talking in the car and we're arguing, you know, like we're actually going back and forth, which is strange because usually it's just them talking over me. But they asked me, they're like, why don't you want to work? Like, what's going on? You know, and now mind you, they're not being anywhere near as calm and peaceful as I am talking to you right now. They're yelling, you know, top of their lungs in the car and shit as they're driving on the highway. And like, I snapped a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I did get a little upset. But okay, before I even get into that, I snapped a little bit. I did get a little upset. I told them that I do not want to work for someone for the rest of my life. Iris, Tally, I do not want to work for someone for the rest of my life. Can you please tell me if you would want to work under somebody who controls your wages, your hours, controls everything you do in order for you to get that check that you work ever so hard for? Would you want to do that for the rest of your life? Don't get me wrong, some people do. I have no fucking problem with that. By all means, to each their own, do whatever the fuck you want. But that's not me. I feel I was put here for a greater purpose, and I plan on fucking serving that purpose, whatever that purpose may be, and I feel like I found it. So, when I told them that, they were like, you just yelled at me, and, alright, we're gonna get kind of real serious here. Not too long ago, my brother passed. My brother Damon. May his soul rest in peace. I had to bring that up because they were comparing me to him, and you know, I love him to death, but he did not make the greatest choices. You know, we were all aware of this. In his lifetime, he didn't make the greatest choices, but the kid was talented beyond belief. One of the most talented people I have ever known, and I had the utmost luxury of being related to him. That's how talented he was. But unfortunately, his choices led him to his very untimely demise, and once again, may his soul rest in peace. And my channel, my thing, everything I have going on now will be dedicated to him. Everything is dedicated to him. Everything I do, everything I will do will be dedicated to him. Because I always had this feeling that if we didn't make it at the same time, he would get there before me. And you know, it kind of sucks that, you know, I don't know. It's a touchy subject, but they were comparing me to him, and I just didn't get it because he didn't do a lot of, you know, he was really nice to people, you know, he was really kind and sweet and bubbly all the time, very energetic, but he didn't make the greatest choices. And they were comparing my choice-making patterns to his choice-making patterns, and I was getting upset because it's like, why do you keep comparing me to him, you know? And you're telling me you're upset with me yelling at you after your son just passed, which I get. This is my stepfather, by the way. My stepfather, my mother yelling at me. You're yelling at me, comparing me to him, but you're saying you're upset because I'm yelling at you. You yell at me all the time. You know, on top of that, you never ever listen to me any other time unless I am putting more bass in my voice, or if I'm literally fucking yelling. Any other time is in one ear and out the fucking other, and out the window and 400 fucking stories down to the ground. You know, it's just, I never win a conversation with them. I never win an argument with them. It got to a point where it was just things would come my way and I would just deflect, and that kind of just became the household for a while. Actually, you know, I was working at Superior. I was gone all the time. I was gone all hours of the night for work, and I would come home, and you know, I would try to make it so like I would get off work and I would stay there for probably like an hour or so, just because I didn't want to go home. You know, I didn't want to, you know, risk running into any type of bullshit. You know, even if I hadn't done anything, I still just tried to avoid that confrontation, just because I just wasn't feeling it anymore. And it's regardless, man. we're gonna keep going with the story. Don't try to get too far off track. I told them I don't want to work for anyone for the rest of my life. I don't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life, to be specific. And they took that as I just don't want to work. I'm just lazy. I just want to smoke weed, get high with my friends, drive around, not care about life. Basic teenager shit. But I'm at that point, that kind of annoyed me, because anybody who knows me, that I am mentally far above the level of the teenagers in my area. I feel like really the teenagers of most places in the world. Dude, I hate when people try to compare me. I hate when people generalize me. I hate it. I work so hard in my life to become my own self, to become such an individual that people, my friends, my close friends, if let's say if somebody else see me in public and they're like, oh, that guy's acting weird, and they just so happen to go talk to one of my friend is gonna tell them like, oh, he's just being himself. Or I'm an individual. I get that they have worked hard for me to have things that they didn't have when they were my age, and I understand that. I have never tried to take that away from them. I've never, ever tried to take that away from them. Never, not one time, not ever, okay? Never. I never tried to take that away from them. I feel like people aren't listening to that specific part. I understand that they went through struggles to get me to where I was at that time, to get me to where I am today. We're just gonna say that. My thing is, okay, and it's not even just with my parents, but with parents in general, you groom these children up to be respectable young people of the future generation. But at times, parents forget that you are raising an individual person. You are not raising yourself. You are raising an individual person. I am my own person. I will make my own choices. I will decide whether I want to get a nose piercing or a dick piercing. I will decide whether I want to drive into a cement block for whatever reason or not to drive into that cement block.